Hey YouTube, welcome to an awesome new episode of Comics and Stuff. My name is Devin and I'm your host as always. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Monday. I hope the room is not too dark. I am filming this at Sunday night to post Monday morning, so it's dark outside. So I hope it's not hard. Anyways, you're probably curious about the title of this video. I titled it LGBT Superheroes, and that is because I'm going to be talking about lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual superheroes. Why is that? I was talking with a few of my buddies who happen to be gay, and the subject of the hashtag #GiveCaptainAmericaABoyfriend came up. That subject came up, and we all kind of discussed it, and also the thing with Poe and Finn in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and how everybody wants them to be an item, and we all think it's great that everybody wants to be inclusive and have gay superheroes in mainstream media, and I'm all for that. But an interesting point that one of my buddies made was that everybody seems so focused and driven on making Disney or Time Warner, either one, turn one of their straight mainstream superheroes gay, that nobody is focusing so much on mainstream superheroes that are already gay. And I thought that was really interesting, so I thought I would take the time to make this video and just kind of talk about a few superheroes that are gay that people just generally don't focus on for some reason. Maybe because they're not mainstream enough, or maybe because they just don't like their stories. I don't know. There's a million reasons as to why. But yeah, I mean, having said that, let's talk a little bit about one of the first ones. I want to talk about Batwoman, or Kathy Kane, or Kate Kane, whatever you want to call her. So Batwoman is a lesbian character from DC Comics. She first appeared in Detective Comics 233 in like the 1950s. She had like a cool motorcycle and stuff like that. It was awesome. Now, in the mid-2000s, that's when DC and Marvel both started trying to be more inclusive and include characters, that are, gay or lesbian, to try to like bring in the homosexual community and get them to read their books. And Kathy Kane happened to be one of those characters who, in the arc of New 52 in 2006, she came out as gay, and she's considered one of the most popular comic book characters ever to come out as gay. And it was a good story run. I've read it, and one thing I've noticed was, and this kind of goes for all the characters, is that their sexuality doesn't really affect the story, and that's kind of my belief when it comes to, and if you have a different opinion, I'm open to discussion, but I think that a character's sexuality shouldn't be the only thing that drives the story. So there's a lot of stuff to go on with Batwoman and her relationship with Renee Montoya, who we're going to get to in a minute. But it wasn't a story that was driven by their homosexual relationship or anybody's heterosexual relationship, for that matter. But she happened to be a lesbian, and she was a really popular character. And and her run ran up until 2014, and now I believe she's just guest starring in other roles right now. She hasn't gotten her own series yet. But it went up to 2014, and she was a popular character. So now, having talked about Kathy Kane and Batwoman, we're going to talk about Renee Montoya, who was the Question. Renee Montoya and Batwoman were a thing. They were, and a cute couple at that. Renee Montoya was the second Question. If you guys don't know who the Question is, I will put like a link in the description below talking about the original Question. But she first appeared in Batman 475, and I don't know when exactly she came out. All I know is that her and Batwoman were a thing, and they're both really awesome characters. If you guys are a fan of obscure comic book characters such as the Question, and when I say obscure, take the term lightly, because there's not a lot of people who are really into the Question, but when you meet somebody who's into the Question, they're really into the Question, and I think the Question's totally badass, and especially Renee Montoya, she's awesome. So yeah, I mean, they were kind of like a power couple. They were really cool, and I'm not sure what current series Renee Montoya is in. I know that Batwoman is like a big part of the Injustice Gods Among Us, like split story arc, and then Question, I'm not sure. So I'm sorry. On to my third character. Third character is Alan Scott, and some of you guys are like, what? Alan Scott? Because that's the Golden Age Green Lantern. So Alan Scott was the original Green Lantern. He came out in, I think, 1940. And it's like 90 degrees, by the way, YouTube, so I'm sorry if you can see me sweating, because it's hot in Seattle right now. But in any case, so Alan Scott, he was the original Green Lantern, came out in All American Comics number 12 in like 1940 or 1942. And he was a very popular character, and obviously in the 1940s, people were much less accepting and inclusive than they are now. So when DC Comics rebooted Earth 2, the Earth 2 series, they included all the Golden Age characters, so Alan Scott, Jay Garrick, XYZ, and they retconned Alan Scott to be gay. And they did such an excellent job with the character, and he is probably, of everybody in the Earth 2 series, probably my favorite. He's actually godlike now, so which is really cool. He was the Green Lantern, and his whole thing was defending the Earth, and he witnessed the loss of his partner and then had a second chance at being with his partner because his partner also joined the Parliament of Earth. Spoilers, sorry. This is like 5 years old, so if you haven't read Earth 2, I'm sorry. And his partner's name was Sam Zhu. He was a Chinese guy, and I think their relationship was a pretty decent part played a very decent role in Alan Scott's growth and ascension into the godlike being he is, because seeing and being with Sam again kind of drove him to try to save the Earth, and same with people he just cared about in general. It was awesome. It was really cool. And, Sam eventually, another spoiler, if you don't want to hear it, just kind of skip forward 5 seconds. Oops, sorry. But Sam eventually sacrificed himself to give Alan the power to stop, Darkseid from destroying the Earth. It was really awesome. So that is one thing that is really, really cool. And I really like the new Earth 2 series. If you haven't read it, you should. Next, I'm going to talk about Northstar, or Jean-Paul Bieber? That's not Bieber, it's Bober, I think. I can never pronounce it. But Jean-Paul, Northstar from X-Men. He first appeared in Uncanny X-Men number number 120 in 1974 or 1973. 1974. And he was an awesome character. He has been a part of a lot of teams, everything from the X-Men to Hydra. And he came out, I'm not sure when, he married his husband. He had the first fully gay marriage in comic book history in 2012. Astonishing X-Men number 51. It was a very controversial book. A lot of people put a lot of hate towards it, and a lot of people put a lot of love towards it, and there's people fighting about it. And even actually within the comic book, some characters did not support his homosexuality or their gay marriage, and it raised a lot of questions and actually brought about a really good topic, and became a discussion within the comics community. So I think that was a really huge step forward for Marvel, at least, and the comic book industry as a whole. But if you're curious about reading about another gay character, you have Northstar. So those are 4 really powerful characters from across the comic book universe: Batwoman, The Question, Green Lantern, and Northstar. Now, a couple honorable mentions. I like Machine Smith. If you don't know who Machine Smith is, he's in the Ant-Man series, which is one of my favorite comic book series ever. And Machine Smith is a supervillain that Ant-Man hires to be a part of his security company, and he's hilarious. He forces them to go to gay bars and have fun, and because it's Ant-Man and Grizzly, or he calls him Grizz, and then Machine Smith, and Grizz and Ant-Man are super awkward. Well, Ant-Man's kind of an idiot, and then Grizz is super awkward, and Machine Smith is kind of laid back and chill and funny, so they all have fun, and he forces them to have fun, and it's really cool because it's not driven by his sexuality. It's just driven by him being a fun-loving character. And he's funny, and he's smart, and he's actually, even though he is a supervillain or claims to be a supervillain, he cares, It's really cool. And then moving on to one more character, Iceman from X-Men. The only reason I'm not going to talk too much about Iceman is because I don't really follow Iceman. I don't know a whole lot about his story. I know that he's one of the original X-Men, so I'm not sure everything that's gone on with him. But at one point he was gay. I don't know if they retconned him or anything like that. But so I digress again. Let's now talk about... I want to stop talking about comics for a second, actually. One thing that everybody should watch. Everybody and their mother and their brother and their best friend and their second cousin should watch. Steven Universe. Why do I say Steven Universe? Steven Universe is, I think, one of the greatest cartoons to come out of Cartoon Network in a little over a decade. It's so well written, well drawn, humorous, and if you watch it, I mean, every character that's not a human, or I guess not a I don't want to say not a human. Every character, all the girls basically, except for Connie, is like a lesbian, but it's like a kids cartoon, so it's not like shoved in your face. Like there's not like they don't kiss. Their sexuality isn't important in the show. It's I don't know how to describe Steven Universe other than it's amazing. It's about a little boy named Steven. He's half human, half crystal gem, and he has this group of friends who are the crystal gems. They're these sentient gemstones from other planets, and they take on human forms. And you have Garnet, Pearl, and Amethyst. And Steven's mother was Rose Quartz, who led a rebellion against the evil gems from Homeworld that were trying to colonize Earth and destroy it and rape it for resources or whatever. But in any case, the gems they come from a planet of all women. So one really big important part of the show is Garnet, their main character. Here's a spoiler again. Garnet is a fusion gem, which is when two gems feel so utterly, unbelievably strongly towards each other, they fuse. And they're very. It's Garnet is a fusion of Ruby and Sapphire. Sapphire is like a priest woman almost, and Ruby is a like a bodyguard, and they ended up like saving each other's lives and being there for each other, and they fell in love. And it's so obvious that they fell in love and that they love each other and they're in a relationship and they care for each other. But it's not like shoved in your face, and I think it's some of the most clever writing and some of the best writing, frankly, ever. I love it. Now, if you guys are curious about reading more gay comics, now granted, Marvel and DC aren't going to have like a full line of gay comics. They're working on it, I'm sure. They're going to get there eventually. I know that, everybody wants to be inclusive, or at least most people, unless you're some sort of jackass. But anyways, everybody wants to be inclusive, but, Marvel and DC they're not there yet, while they do have gay characters. But there are publishers out there that do talk about and publish, or almost exclusively publish, gay comic books and things like that. And I think that if you are a big advocate of gay or LGBT comics, you should, check out these publishing companies and, try your best to be supportive. One of the first ones I want to talk about is Northwest Press. I think they're based out of Washington, actually, but they are almost exclusively, like 99.999%, all, LGBT comic books. But they don't just have, like, comic books just about gay people. They have comic books that are, they have romance, they have adventure, they have ones for younger kids or, high school or middle school kids that are struggling with this sort of stuff. Anti-bullying. They have a series called Rise that's all about just being yourself and trying to, cope. Because, it's when you're a kid and you're confused and you're trying to figure out what it is that you want and who you are. And some of these kids experience, they're like, oh my God, I'm gay. And sometimes they don't know how to handle it. And kids are terrible sometimes and they bully. So some of these series are geared towards helping kids know that it's okay. If you're gay, you're gay. That's fine. Nobody, don't worry. Like you're good. So I think it's really powerful and really cool of Northwest Press. Another one is called Prism Comics. Prism, they just help in like independent, LGBT writers and artists and publishers kind of like get their stuff out there. One of my favorite web comics that was published through Prism, it's by a guy named Tony Breed, and it's kind of like a chronicle of his life while he volunteers at a local radio station where he lives. But it's called Finn and Charlie Are Hitched, and it's about two gay guys. You can look it up at hitchedcomic.com. I'll put a link to it in the description below. Yeah, it's two guys that are, gay and they're married and it's like a slice of life comic and that's it. And it's so good. It's since then transformed into Muddler's Beat, which is about like Finn and Charlie's niece, I think. But anyways, link in the description. And then lastly, I want to talk about Rosie Press. So Rosie Press was spawned from a gal, I can't for the life of me remember her name. If you ever see this, I'm so sorry. I met you at Comic-Con like 2 or 3 times and you were so cool. But she used to work as a sales manager or something like that, or a sales exec at DC Comics, and wanted to start her own company. So she started up Rosie Press, and they did a Kickstarter, and I subscribed to the first 6 months of comic books, but it was 6 months of just straight romance comics, and they were, they had hetero books and LGBT books, and all the stories were so well written. You can find them on Comixology. You can buy them in store, I believe, but it was, really awesome. So that's really it. I just wanted to bring this sort of stuff to your guys' attention and let you know, if you are a big advocate for like gay comics and gay characters, there are comics and publishing companies that do gay superheroes and things like that, and read them. They're really good, and this real story driven, character driven, awesome writing, great artwork. Yeah, man, that's actually it. So. And I think this is also just like a good discussion topic. If you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns, whatever, man, put it in the description below. Make sure you like the video, share it with your friends, especially if you know somebody who's like struggling or something like that. Like I said, the anti-bullying, and those books I've read a couple of them. I flipped through them at Comic-Con, and they're so cool. And there are a lot of things that anybody can really apply to themselves. You don't have to be gay to read it. They're just good. So that's it. If you like this video, guys, please make sure you hit the subscribe button right here. I'll try to make more videos like this if you liked it. And then I do a weekly blog. It's every Thursday on my website. So I'm going to put a link to that above my head. Just click that if you guys enjoyed this, and just give it a read. Tell me what you think. Tell me what I can improve my website. But that's it. So thanks so much for tuning in, YouTube. And I guess I will be seeing you Friday.